What's up, guys? So, everybody's been doing collection videos recently, and I decided to jump in on the craze. Plus, everybody's been asking me, Zach, I'm a retro gamer dad, what stuff do you actually have? So, as a lot of people know, the game room and everything starts continuously as remodeling, continuously as building. So,
Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people are now watching this.
constantly getting stuff. As I said, we, I mean me, because obviously I'm one person. Maybe. Oh. Anyway, so War Train and them have been doing collection videos recently, so I was gonna jump in on a bunch. I'm going to save doing my NES one, my really big one, for I don't know, some different day. I think we're gonna do that one in parts because there's so much stuff that, like, besides the games, I have so much other stuff. And speaking of that, so let's go ahead. We'll just start off with the actual system itself. As you can see, I have the box right in front of me. But I'm gonna go grab the. So here, my Super Nintendo is. Now, growing up, I had a Sega. I was too young really to choose, so my parents chose for me because they knew I liked regular Nintendo and I loved video games. So they chose for me, and I think at the time, I got my Sega. Either the Super Nintendo was not out yet, or it was just a random choice. They didn't know what to get me, so they just got me the Sega. So all my friends, of course, had Super Nintendos, and I got a Sega. And I did not actually own a Super Nintendo. I owned a Super Nintendo for the first time a few years back. Otherwise, my whole life I did not have one. Now, as you can see, this one is obviously pretty mint. I bought this from a buddy in a town nearby. He took very good care of it as a kid, and then it sat in a closet, in a bag, and it is. I paid I think $40 for this plus a bunch of games, and I bought one a few years back that was yellow and stuff like this. But this is, I didn't do nothing to this. This is the way it came, and this is in absolutely beautiful condition. This is one of my best looking consoles. So I have that, and let's get rid of the elephant in the room. I bought this a few years back. I think it was last year. If you want to see it, it's actually in one of my first videos. So this is a box, the Super Set, which came with 2 controllers and Super Mario World and stuff. Now, when I bought this from the person, they wanted $50 for it. So I already had one. I obviously had my really nice one. So I ended up selling the console by itself for about $50. So I basically got the box for free, plus Super Mario World and 1 controller. Now, the box is not in the best shape. It's still kind of beat up, but it does have the styrofoam and stuff still in it. And I mean, it's great. And as you guys can usually see in this empty spot on my shelf, this stays up on my shelf for display purposes. The box is in pretty good shape. There is just very minimal falls. So this is one of my favorite boxes I have because of the shape it is in, and plus the age of it, man. For how old this is in really good shape. Besides this one, obviously my Dreamcast one and the Sega Genesis right behind me. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this right back up. So we'll just start off with some of the basic stuffs. So I do have a Super Scope, as you can see here. Unfortunately, it's missing a lot and it doesn't work very good. I got this, I bought a big Super Nintendo lot about a year back. Came with a big stack of games, which I ended up selling most of them because I was dumb when I first started. I was more into buying and reselling than keeping, which I totally regret right now because I had a huge stack of games. So I paid about $100 for a Super Scope, a stack of games probably about this high, and a Super Nintendo. Ended up getting rid of it all, so I made my money back, plus I doubled up. I think I ended up making about $200 off while selling everything, but I kind of regret it now. I did hold on to the Super Scope. Now, unfortunately, we're missing this, the battery cover. We're missing the scope. I think that's about it. Now, it does work, but I have to finagle the batteries in here and tape it, and plus, not having the scope makes games really hard. But it is awesome to have, and it's cool display purposes, and I've taken funny pictures in the past with it, so someday I hope to actually get a better scope, super scope, and that's really all I can say about that.
And that's all I have to say about that.
And we'll just kind of go into the equipment. Now, I have a couple regular Super Nintendo controllers, and everybody's already seen those. But I did win this in a giveaway not too long ago. It is an old school, basically a third-party, new modern age version. I have done a review on this one, so if you guys go back, it's probably pretty far back in my videos now. But I would almost compare this third-party controller to a regular licensed Super Nintendo controller, because it is very great. I played a whole game, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest with it. Had no problem. Played Killer Instinct and stuff like that. It's a very great controller, especially for as cheap as it is. Because I know you can get Super Nintendo controllers nowadays for freaking, $10, $15 used in bad shape sometimes. But this you can get, I think you can pay like $10, get it brand new in box, and it's great. And I liked it. I use it almost over my other controllers because I have a couple there. So before we go into this controller, we will actually, talk about my other favorite thing. So I do have a Super Nintendo Classic. I bought it right when it came out. I, at the time, worked at Walmart, and the department manager said, "Hey, I know you like these old games and stuff like this. We do have a stack of Super Nintendo Classic Minis that came in. We haven't put them out on the shelf yet, but because I complained that last time when the Nintendo Classic Minis came out that I did not even get a chance to get one because we only got like 5. Then there was already a lineup at midnight. So I missed out on that, so she wanted to make sure I did not miss out on one of these. And I'm glad she did, because as soon as they put them out on the shelf at our Walmart, they were gone within, I think, a half hour, and I was working at the time. So I wouldn't have been able to get one. So thankfully, I got one of those, and I have modded it and added probably about 50 plus games onto it. I really wanted to play games that there was probably no chance that I'll ever own, that were, like Super Turrican and stuff like that are like $200 to $300 games that I'll probably never be able to get. So I do have that, and plus I do have I got a deal on one of these before at Walmart too for about $10 now. It is a wireless. It's a wireless one that you can hook up to your Super Nintendo Classic. I was at one point going to do a review on it, but I did not end up doing it. The only thing I do not like about this is the turbo button is like right off right here. So you could be playing, and if you slide your finger just too much and you tap that, you'll activate the turbo on whatever button you're hitting, which could be a pain in the butt for certain games. And you also, I think once you get about 6 feet away from the sensor, it disconnects. So if you're in the middle of playing a game, you get intense, and you lean back something too far, it will disconnect, and you will just whatever on the screen. So this is some cool stuff that I've gotten with that. Now let's kind of go over. We'll go over. Well, we still got this. I did pick up this third-party box for really cheap on Mercari one time. Nothing fancy. I paid, I think, $5 for it plus a couple dollars shipping. So it's just kind of, I like boxes, and it looks really cool on the shelf and stuff like that. So basically, it's just a third-party Super Pad controller box, which is still, I thought it was officially licensed by Nintendo, but it is not. It has the same symbol, but it says Super Pad. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I didn't see these much as a kid, but I did buy them when I was talking about that huge $100 lot that I got a bunch of Super Nintendo games and stuff with the Super Scope. But I did get a bunch of these cases with those too. I was at one point thinking about selling them, but I think they're pretty cool, so I just hold on to them. Because then they can just sit on the shelf and look pretty cool. They're very colorful. So, speaking of box games, I don't have very many. I, at one point, was trying to collect for that with my collection, but unfortunately, box stuff gets super expensive and doesn't affect the playability of the games and stuff like that. But I have, over time, picked up some decent prices. It wasn't very long ago that I picked up this for $5. It's just Ken Griffey Major League Baseball. The box is in excellent shape. I picked it up for $5 at a second-hand store. Manual and everything. I even tried to when I was trying to get my Switch and stuff like that, I even tried to sell it to an actual store, and they would not take it because they said, "Oh, you can't sell that." But whatever, it'll stick in my collection. It is complete and everything, so it's cool to have. Like I said, $5 for it. I'll pay that every day. I have old sports games that are complete, but I did pick up Pilot Wings with box. I never played this game growing up, but I have enjoyed it recently. Everybody talked about how cool this game was, and I looked at the background and everything on it, and I was like, damn, that doesn't even sound like that fun a game. And then until I actually played it, me and my kids actually enjoyed it a little bit. I've been looking at hopefully completing the collection sometimes, but we have Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. The box is in excellent shape. I'm pretty sure I only paid about $10 for this, $10 to $15 on eBay for it. We have the manual. Manual's pretty beat up. And then we do have this, and then the game is in excellent shape too. So that was a good grab. I know a lot of times now that you can't. It's hard to get Super Nintendo box games with manuals for that good a price, especially a good game like this. So we'll put that back inside. Honestly, I really don't have that many Super Nintendo games. As I said, I modded my Super Nintendo Classic, so I put on a bunch of the games that I wanted. I've mentioned before in the past that we did not have a lot of money growing up, so we rented a lot of games. I really don't have too many Super Nintendo games. I think down the road I might try to get more. But like I said, anything I've really ever wanted to play, I just put on my Classic. But there is a bunch of Super Nintendo games that I do have a lot of nostalgia for, because like I said, growing up, I had a Sega, and all my friends had Super Nintendos. So obviously we'll go over the one game you have to have in your collection if you have a Super Nintendo, and that is of course Super Mario World, which besides Super Mario Brothers 3, I'd almost put these two tied at each other, because I've had so many memories as a kid going over to my buddy's house. We'd stay up all night playing this game, and we'd probably only ever get past Castle 3. Now as an adult, when I started playing these games, I got way farther, because I was able to actually sit down and logically think about stuff. I, of course, beat this as an adult. We beat it as kids, but we used the super, like the star warp, and warp right to Bowser, and that was about the way we did. I'm currently on my way trying to 100% this game, which is one of my favorites too, growing up. We played this one more than anything because that was, at the time, that's what came out. We weren't huge fans of Donkey Kong Country 3. We did play it a lot. And of course we played Donkey Kong Country 1, but I think the second one's a little bit harder, so we spent more time playing that one because we beat 1. That's what kind of stinks about this collection is a lot of times I had been looking for games growing up that we played, like Super Metroid and stuff like that, but sometimes those games go for ridiculous prices, so it's been hard to grab, and I'm very cheap when it comes to stuff sometimes, so I'm always looking for deals. But this is a cool thing growing up. I only played this a couple times, and I was very happy to get a complete thing of this. So we have Mario Paint, excellent shape, beautiful label, and not only did I get that, but I have the mouse with it. I have watched a video recently of games that you're surprised that actually can utilize the Super Nintendo mouse, which I might do a video coming up here pretty soon about. There's a few games that a lot of people don't know about that you can use that with. I know SNES Drunk did one recently about a game that was only released in Japan, which looked awesome. It was kind of like a puzzle game that you could use it for. But besides that, I actually have the licensed Nintendo mouse pad, you see down there, that goes with it. I am looking for the box, and I am looking for the manual, but I'm not hardcore looking. There was somebody on Mercari that was selling them all together for $10 plus shipping, but I've already got that, and I just need the box and manual. This is kind of something cool that a lot of people don't see, and when they see it in my collection, they're like, what the hell is this? So this is a blank cartridge, and I picked this up in a lot one time, and I didn't know what it was either. And then I opened it up, and what it is it's basically a pen cleaner for your Super Nintendo. That's all it is. You just stick it in there a couple times and it cleans the pen. Nothing fancy. I do like the color, and it is kind of a cool little talking piece for the collection, because if my buddies come over that haven't seen the game room before and they see this, like, whoa, what game is this? And it's not a game, it's a cleaner. So, this is another fun game. Now, I'm not a huge fighting game person. I do like Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, and Killer Instinct is right up there at top. I love this game. I'm not very good at it, and I think that might be why I don't like fighting games that much. Is I'm not very good at them. But I do like to pop them in every once in a while and just play for a little bit. My wife kind of likes Street Fighter 2, which we play occasionally. And yeah, I mean, it's a great game. I love the fighting. I love the different characters. I think that Killer Instinct deserves a lot more love than it gets sometimes. This was a fun game growing up. I didn't ever get very far in it. I'm hoping to change that coming up because this is on the backlog. I just remember getting a world, I think 2 or 3 or something like that, and always getting to the part where you're doing the jump roping. Growing up, SimCity was really fun. I played it a lot on emulators and stuff like that. I guess I shouldn't say growing up it was, but 10 years ago sounds like growing up to me. But I did play it a lot on emulators and stuff like that. And it is a fun little game. So we were talking about the Super Scope earlier. I do not have the Super Scope 6 game, but I do have a fun little Nintendo game. And if you have not played this and with the Super Scope and stuff like that, you need to. Yoshi Safari is a pretty fun little game where you're riding around on Yoshi. And you're basically using your Super Scope to shoot at stuff. My kids really enjoyed it when I got this going the one time. Someday I will get a better Super Scope and we'll hook it up with my CRTV down here and play some other games. I know there's a few other gun games we play on there too. And lastly, like I said, this is not much for games. I wanted to show people off some of my collection. I know these videos are usually pretty popular, and I don't know why I refrain from doing them too much. Maybe it's because I've always thinking in my head that I want to build a bigger collection before I show it off. But you can always do multiple videos of this, and who knows down the road, like I said, I might start collecting for this more, so we might have someday we might even have an hour-long video, or we might have to do it in parts. This game is special to me. It's not expensive at all in any lanes. But growing up, as a kid, I was really into sports. My dad was a high school football coach and stuff like that. I was not a very nerdy kid at all. I only played sports titles on the Sega and stuff like that. And then I was introduced to this game on Super Nintendo at a buddy's house, and it spiraled out of control. But we have Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Now, like I said, but I started off playing RPGs with this one. And if you watched, I think it's Gaming Historian, he's got a video about it, about why this game is so, different than some of the other Final Fantasy games was. At the time, role-playing games were not very popular in the U.S. So they started off with a very easy RPG kind of thing, which as kids growing up was awesome because it introduced us to those types of games. And then later on, it just bloomed of wanting to play it more. I know this kind of got my foot in the door. So then when PlayStation came out and they started coming out with Final Fantasy VII, Breath of Fire 3, Parasite Eve, and games like that, I was tuned and ready to go. I understood the battle system. I understood how it works like that. I went from being strictly sports and stuff to actually reading books, getting into fantasy. Because if games like this didn't come out, I probably would have never gotten into fantasy. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest holds. It is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I have done a complete playthrough on this channel. It's one of the few games I've actually done a complete playthrough. I think I did it in 7 or 8 parts or something, so if you want to go back and check that out. I completely beat the game. I love the music. I love the story. Pretty basic story. And I love the characters, and yeah. So that's about it, guys. That is all I have for Super Nintendo stuff. I might have some little knickknacks and stuff around there, maybe a couple magazines and stuff like that. But this was just kind of a quick video to shoot this morning. Thank you guys for checking out my videos. Thank you for everybody that participated in my 1-year anniversary giveaway. I've really been enjoying doing these videos lately. I am getting way more into editing, and I'm having a lot more fun with that. And it's showing, and I'm... I think recently my videos average retention span is increased bigfold. So I really appreciate that, guys. I was really looking at views before, but now I'm kind of looking at, okay, how long is people actually watching these videos? Because, views don't mean nothing if someone's just clicking on it and then clicking off right away, We're doing great on subs. I think I've steadily been increasing over time. For a while there, I was stuck at like 235, for what seemed like a few months, and then we've been going up ever since. So that is amazing. Thank you guys so much. We're going to look forward to doing more videos like this coming up. I think next we're going to kind of work on, we're going to do a little bit of my smaller collections first, and we're going to start working towards the bigger ones. I think next we will, I have done an N64 one. We might do another one of those coming up because I have been picking up more games for that recently because for some reason N64 has been kind of hot lately for picking up. I do have a smaller GameCube collection, so we might do that too. But yeah, guys, stay tuned too. I am getting pretty far in Resident Evil 4. Check out the live streams. I do have them saved. I have been deleting some live streams because I don't want them kind of flooding my channel. Down the road, we might be switching more towards Twitch for live streaming, just because it's easier on there. And like I said, I don't want the live streams flooding my channel too much. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like my little Super Nintendo collection, and stay tuned for more of these. Stay retro, my friends. Stay safe. Wash your hands. And just be nice to each other. Thank you.